Welcome to Bartell's Business. I'm Andre Bartell, your host. And today we got a special guest, Mr. Don Snider. Don, thank you for coming on our show. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Oh, anytime, Andre. I've been through the struggle, and I thought that when I saw that you were doing a business type show, and that we bumped into each other, and you invited me, I was all open. I was receptive to come do that because I love to expand and share business ideas with other folks, just so they don't make the same mistakes that maybe you and I have made.
Yes, I can actually say that. But you know what? You have an extraordinary career and background on some of the things that you've done over the years. Tell our viewers, how you got started and a lot of your adventures, because I was just talking to another gentleman. He said, you are the entrepreneur. So not only do you do that, you also teach it.
Yes, I do. Well, I want to go back to when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
My entrepreneurship was nowhere near me. I was thinking about becoming a CPA, an accountant, staying a bachelor, making some money, and just hanging out in the islands. I had none of that. And as I went through life, none of those things happened. I didn't become a CPA because when I came to Detroit, to Wayne State, I started majoring in biology and chemistry. So I wanted to become a doctor. But I was in that for a long time, and my professors over at the Wayne's Med School were complaining. They said, this guy's off in the business. He's not serious about being a doctor. And so I realized, okay, well, if I don't become a doctor, then I got to get into some businesses and make the kind of money doctors make. I said, at least I can do that. That was my plan B. So I had a great mentor, Dr. Bill Picard. I watched him. He owned a McDonald's, and I was just really impressed with that. And I said, I want to go get me a McDonald's. Well, I was able to do that. And we were the third owners of the McDonald's on Woodward in Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
Now, everybody thinks owning McDonald's, you're about to make some money, everything's going to be okay. But during that time in the 80s, things weren't that great in Detroit. So on Friday and Saturday nights at 9 o'clock, when traffic was leaving downtown, going north on Woodward, we sat in the window watching traffic. We couldn't sell a hamburger after 9 o'clock.
Wow.
We watched all that traffic go by. So I figured out, well, we got to make some money some kind of way to sell hamburgers. So I went down and met with the private elementary schools, the Catholic schools. Went down to the science center, established a relationship with the ladies down there. They gave me their roster of what schools were coming in from the suburbs, from kindergarten to fourth grade. And I would call those schools, say, look, you're coming down to the science center. Why don't you come by our place to get a Happy Meal for the kids?
Oh, wow.
Well, the store on Woodward in Philadelphia, we had the largest sit-down store, playland, in our store. Our store could seat 300 kids.
Whoa.
And we had a special side door where you could come in and not really come off of Woodward. So I would drive down into the Science Center, let the bus follow me back up Woodward, and you could see those kids from the suburbs looking at the window like, where we going? Where we going? But anyway, that worked out. And then we did Big Mac Day at the private schools, Catholic schools, where we sold a Big Mac and we gave them the orange pop. We sold it to them for $1 and they charged the kids $1.50. So it kept my employees working, it kept us busy. And then after McDonald's saw that we were struggling, they said, well, we got some opportunities up in Grand Rapids. We're going to put a police station, a mini station in my McDonald's. That's how big it was. They could put a police station. And we said, no, if you're going to put a police station in here, no, forget it. So we ended up closing it down, and my partner went to Grand Rapids, and I went to Illinois to do Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Okay.
That's how I got into Kentucky Fried Chicken. So I was in Illinois doing Kentucky Fried Chicken. Had two stores, one in Pontiac, one in Streator, Illinois. They were 25 miles apart. And every chance I got, I was constantly commuting back to Detroit home. I'd want to be home. And because I was the only African-American businessman in both cities. But at that time, it was no problem being African-American, and all my customers were white. So so I had that. And then Another fraternity brother of mine had a store in LaGrange, Georgia.
Okay.
60 miles from Atlanta. He had opportunity to get 2 Kentucky Fried Chicken stores. And he talked me into being a partner. So I sold my 2 stores in Illinois, went down to Atlanta, Georgia. And what Kentucky Fried Chicken did was they sold us 2 garbage stores.
Oh, wow.
So he kept going to LaGrange. I said, I'll run the store in Atlanta, and the other one was in Lithonia. And what the store in Atlanta was at, was so much grease that hit the floor, the tile was coming up off the floor. That's how bad it was. It was a 20-year-old building, and Kentucky Fried had the nerve to build a brand new one down a mile down the street.
Okay.
So now on Friday nights, I may do 2,000. They would do 1,500. Saturday nights, I'm doing 1,500. They do. So all we doing was swapping money.
Okay.
So I did that until I did that for a year. And I told my partner, I said, I'm going back to Detroit. Single parent with 2 children. So I went back to Detroit, got involved in there, and I saw what my good mentor was doing. He was into manufacturing. I said, okay, I want to do manufacturing.
Oh.
So I went and start reading annual reports of other corporations that when I do get into business of manufacturing, I wanted to be able to have some idea of how I wanted my business to look.
So you did research and development.
Exactly. So I did research as annual reports and saw what it took to really run a good business.
Right.
And so I did some things. And in my first book, I talk about when I went to Chrysler was my first contract. And I had to go to several meetings. There was a young lady named Diana Mercer Pryor, an African-American woman.
Okay.
Was in charge of purchasing at the time at Chrysler. So I went there. I met with her purchasing team. It was about 6-8 folks.
Right. Yeah.
And in meeting with her, I took Reverend Oscar King with me and Derek Brown. I just had some company with me.
Right.
And I'm making a presentation, and I laid out I was going to head this operation in Detroit, and I was going to hire people from Detroit. And I'm thinking I'm really selling them. And she looked down and she says, "You cook chicken." I said, yeah. And I just kind of let it go over my head. Right. And I kept on with my presentation, And so she says, well, okay, I need you to firm up some things. Let us know where you're going to get your equipment from and all that. And we'll meet next week.
So all you gave was your vision.
Yeah. But she was reading my bio.
Right.
Where I cook chicken. She said, well, but you see, you cook chicken. So I didn't say nothing. So we came back the following week. And I dragged Oscar King and Derek Brown with me. And so I'm going through my presentation. I said, well, here's where I get my equipment from. And I'm going to do this, that. And then she still said, you cook chicken. and so just out of nowhere, I said, Diana, I didn't cook chicken. I managed chicken like I can manage this.
Right. Okay.
And so 2 days later, they gave me a $1 million purchase order to
that was great.
To service Chrysler McGraw glass at the time, making all the glass. So so that's how I got into the automotive business.
Well, that was fantastic. So you had to go through a few procurements.
But
solidified.
Yeah, but here's the kicker. Here I got a $1 million purchase order.
Right.
And this is what I teach my students.
Yeah.
$1 million purchase order. And I went to the banks to shop it around to get some additional funds. They said, there's no guarantee that they're going to order from you off this purchase order.
Right. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking with Donald Snider, who's giving us his entrepreneurship. We'll be right back.
Looking for a print shop that feels like home? At Digimax, we're proud to be family-owned and operated. Offering top-notch service with a personal touch. From business cards to billboards, we print it all. Fast, affordable, and high quality. Need a space to collaborate? Enjoy our private conference room with free Wi-Fi. Grab a snack, sip on a beverage, and let's bring your vision to life. Visit us today where great printing meets great people. Digimax, your full-service print shop designed with you in mind.
Welcome back to Bartell Business, and our guest is Donald Snider. Mr. Snider, continue where we left off at in regards to your entrepreneurship journey with that purchase order.
Well, the purchase order, like I was saying, that I shopped it around to borrow some money from the banks because I had this purchase order from Chrysler Corporation, $1 million purchase order. And again, they said there's no guarantee that anybody's going to order anything from you, so we're not going to loan you the money. Well, what I had done, not knowing that I was going to need it, when I was doing my McDonald's trail, when I was doing my Kentucky Fried Chicken trail, I had a friend at First of America Bank, which is now called PNC.
PNC, yeah.
He was in the revolving loan department.
Okay.
I borrowed some money from him, didn't need it, but I was very disciplined.
Right.
I borrowed some money from him. I think it was $5,000, and I paid it back. So I used the bank's money to pay them back.
Right.
Because I was trying to set up a credit history.
Right.
Then when he moved to the credit card department, I borrowed $7,000 from him there.
Okay.
Because he knew me. And then when he got down to the personal loan part, I borrowed another $7,000, $8,000. I always paid it back. I never touched it. I didn't go buy nothing, didn't treat myself. And so by the time I got to this manufacturing opportunity, I realized I had to borrow the money from my personal credit, my revolving loan, and credit card to get my business up and running.
So you took a risk.
I took a risk on borrowing on myself, and I'm glad I tell people that I happen to have good credit, which did it. So basically, I financed myself.
Right.
And then after we got up and running, I hired 4 employees. I was in a 100,000 square foot facility, but I only had 2,000 square feet of it.
Right.
And so basically, after we got up and running and the media covered me in the newspapers about I had this award with Chrysler, all that, then the banks started coming.
Oh, okay.
And when they came, I let them in my office, let them sit down. And then I told them, you guys were not there when I needed you, so get out.
Oh.
So I showed them the door. I didn't need them.
Right.
So again, I was able to start by having good credit, by being disciplined was what we talk about.
Right. Exactly. Oh man, that's fantastic. And getting on to discipline, how important discipline is when you actually run a business.
Oh, it is really something you really have to be on top of all your costs. It's going to be a bell-shaped curve where basically you have to hurry up and understand all the mechanics of it, train somebody to relieve you from that so you become more of a visionary in the business.
Okay.
You can't be stuck too long. And like I tell folks, if you're the chief cook, bottle washer, waiting on customers, cashing them out, then basically all you've done is you're self-employed. You're not an entrepreneur.
Oh, okay. So
people need to understand that.
It's hard to create a scalable business if you're the magic.
Exactly. If you're the chief cook, bottle washer, waiting on customers, you're stuck right there, then you're not thinking, how can I grow this business and what can I do? Because you're so involved down here when you should be training and letting people learn to do that piece and trust so you can move on. Otherwise, you'll never grow.
So the idea of a business owner should be working on the business as opposed to in the business.
Exactly.
Could you elaborate on that?
Exactly. That's the key.
Right.
But it's okay to start there.
Start there, yeah.
But you have to realize you can only be there so long. You got to move.
Right. Yeah.
Because if you don't move, you'll be stranded right there and you'll be wondering why I'm not growing. Why am I tired? Why is my family complaining because I don't never come home? Because I'm stuck here in the business.
So entrepreneurship, and being, on the level in which you do business with is quite extraordinary. how important balance in your lifestyle, with family and business and things of that nature, and getting your family to understand what you do.
Well, a couple things. I try to get my family involved in my business.
Oh, okay.
And because that lets you sleep a little better at night.
Yeah.
But most businesses, other than the automotive business and other things I've had, like I said, I've had McDonald's, I've had Kentucky Fried, I've had Papa John's Pizza.
Mm-hmm.
When I came into a business atmosphere and people used to getting paid every week.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I let them know I pay every 2 weeks.
Right.
I'm not going to be stuck here sweating over a payroll and I can't go nowhere because the checks are due. So I made sure I paid everybody 2 weeks, which gave me time to spend with myself and my family.
Well, not only that, it gives you a chance for your working capital to grow.
Exactly.
If it don't do nothing but grow an extra week, you need that. I started out like you do in business, paying every week, and then I said to myself, I just paid. I said, I can't do this no more.
No.
And the accountant told me, he said, the reason why you having so much, you're sweating bullets, everybody else should be, you need to be paying every 2 weeks and give yourself a break. And ever since I did that, man, things are
your life is different.
Yeah.
Life, and you know what? When somebody asked me what was the main compliment, well, two things that I got out of owning businesses and having businesses. One, I enjoyed employing people, providing them a job. Yeah. But number two, in the whole 30 years that I've been in business, I was never late or missed a payroll.
There you go.
They can't complain about that.
I feel good like this. I'm the same way.
Never late.
And I have bragging rights for that.
Yeah.
Because that's important because you're taking care of somebody else's family.
Right.
And you can't be late. Now, I'll skip my own check because sooner or later I'm going to catch up with it. But I can't have anybody, have a bad reputation on me saying that, he doesn't pay, and I don't want to be late. I mean, I like to pay early if I have to, but that is very important. And I'm glad to hear you say that, Donald, because a lot of people who have entrepreneurships and they have challenges, they can't really say that.
No.
Because there are challenges out there, and each and every day we get up, we have to understand what our purpose is. Now, one thing I do know about you, that you're an early riser, because I let you know that I was interested in information, and then 6 o'clock in the morning, you sitting in your bio. So I know you understand what that process is. So that's a good thing, And the most important thing is that when you do that, it lets me know who I'm doing business with.
Yes. Because,
in order to be on a certain level, Stephen Covey said, deal with effective people. This thing is 7 habits of them. And if you have them, it's always a good thing to do. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking with Donald Snider, who is an entrepreneur, and we'll be right back.
Accomplished and aspiring entrepreneur. Did you know that real mentors do more than just give you inspirational messages? The right mentor can be the difference in your business succeeding versus it going under. In his breakout business book, Through an Entrepreneur's Eyes, a collection of millionaire and mentee relationship case studies, business authority, master mentor, and author of Beyond the Bling, Donald Snider, masterfully put together a collection of interviews that helps new entrepreneurs and established owners alike navigate the uncertainty of following your dreams and passions through starting your own business. Get Donald Snider's Through an Entrepreneur's Eyes, available on Amazon. Order your copies today.
Welcome back. I'm with Don Snider at the BARTELL'S Business. And Don, I got a quick question to ask you in terms of success. Okay. I was always told that success is never on sale and it doesn't come at a discount.
That's how I met you.
That's right.
That's how I met you. We were at a meeting.
Right.
I guess they were establishing the chamber at the time, and you got up in that audience, and I said, "Oh, I got to meet that brother. I got to meet him." I'll never forget that. Oh my gosh, that is correct.
That's right. And what does it take?
It takes a lot, and it goes back to just like I said, success is something you really don't own.
Right.
Because it comes and goes. And we used some examples before, about Blockbuster, and we talked about the Franklin Planner.
Mm-hmm.
All that stuff is gone.
Right.
If you look at Campbell's Soup or any product that's out there, they're working on new and improved. Mm-hmm. What can we do to still attract customers?
Correct.
And, we go by the 3 C's. If you don't have cash, collateral, and customers, mm-hmm. you'll be out of business real quick.
Right. Yeah.
And be it where you sell atmosphere or that you become a brand. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's important that when you're out, it's important how you carry yourself in public. You don't know who's watching. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You got to always think, I'm the brand.
Right.
So I got to act in a certain way, talk in a certain way. Mm-hmm. It's not about using profanity, because I tell people that want to cuss, they go, well, excuse my French. Well, if you got time to tell me use your French, you got time to switch up your language.
Yes, right.
So don't even come, don't even come like that. So, right. But that's what success is. Mm-hmm. It's about watching other people, going back to reading what you said, mm-hmm. and if you don't quite have it together, go work for somebody.
Right.
Before I bought a Kentucky Fried Chicken, I worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken just as an employee. They didn't know why I was working there. Mm-hmm. When I did the McDonald's, I went and worked and trained at a McDonald's mm-hmm. before I bought the business.
Right.
So a lot of times I suggested to people, go out there and work the business first. Mm-hmm. Be an employee. Don't let them know why you're there, and learn, how long the inventory should be there. Mm-hmm. Learn what a transaction how's it doing? Mm-hmm. Learn on once the seasons change, how the right. business changed.
Right.
Because it blew my mind that when I left McDonald's and KFC, I'm used to customers coming in, paying for their stuff.
Right.
With Papa John's, mm-hmm. where I'm depending on people to deliver my pizza. Mm-hmm. When the truck pulls up on Monday to drop off my supplies to sell pizza.
Right.
I'm not making really any money until Thursday, but Papa John's is taking the money out of my account the next day.
Oh,
I got to have it there.
Right.
And when it's not there, mm-hmm. oh man, you talking about the whistles going off, they're mm-hmm. calling you up, and they're sending their attorney to come talk to you because the money ain't there. So you got to be prepared for those seasons mm-hmm. and know how the business runs. So I knew that I always had to have enough money mm-hmm. to cover that. When that truck on Monday, I got to have the money on Tuesday, even though I'm not selling no pizza till Thursday or Friday.
Right.
And
right.
so these are the kind of things that in business, you need to learn all the nuances mm-hmm. that's going to control your cash flow mm-hmm. because they would, and I wasn't used to people debiting my account.
Right.
In certain businesses, they debit your account. So, so the franchise fee is being debited out.
Right.
The marketing fee is being debited out. Mm-hmm. So you got to make sure the money is there. But I wasn't used to that. So it took me a while. Now I was I was only in the pizza business 6 years, and I was glad to get out.
Right.
Because you really had to depend. Oh yeah, it was high pressure, and
mm-hmm.
and I never had a chance to see a Super Bowl because that's our day.
Yeah.
I had 3 stores in Ann Arbor,
mm-hmm.
and I had 30 drivers,
mm-hmm.
delivery drivers that was delivering pizzas during halftime,
right,
to get there on time.
Mm-hmm.
And if there was a pepperoni missing off of it or
mm-hmm.
or an olive, they busy typing to the headquarters, and then I got to give up a free pizza.
Right.
So so that would happen.
That comes out of your inventory.
Exactly. And then 2, being in a college town, everybody think it's great because mm-hmm. kids eat pizza, right? But when the graduation at U of M ended on May 3rd, mm-hmm. everybody's going home. I'm sucking wind.
Yeah.
I'm sucking wind. Yeah. And that's no fun. So I got to get by I got to make it to May to August until the kids come back to school. So I'm struggling. So now I'm really advertising.
Uh-huh.
I'm really out there putting markers on people's doors.
Right.
I'm doing discounts.
Uh-huh.
And so that's what I'm saying, the kind of business you got to be in.
Right.
But I'm going to give you this last nugget about the airport.
Mm-hmm.
I had a coffee bean and tea leaf at the airport in baggage claim mm-hmm. and one up on Concourse A at the Delta. No business plan could have protected me. Once Delta charged for checked luggage. Nobody came to the baggage claim for 8 months. I was sucking wind.
Right. Oh my.
And I depend on my coffee business up on Concourse A. But that just tells you. And I was the only concession in the baggage claim.
I remember when you told me about that.
Yeah.
So Don, as we end our segment, and it's such a joy just to listen to you. We have just a quick 2 minutes, and I just want you to close it out and how important it is, in business to pass it on.
Oh my gosh. Legacy is very important to pass the business on. You should walk in thinking, what is your exit strategy going to be? If you want investors in your business, they want to hear the exit strategy story of when you're getting out, when you're cashing out, because that's when they can get their money out of what they invested. So legacy is important if you want the business to grow. It hurts me to this day that once back in the 80s, we had all the hair care products.
Right.
The African Americans did.
Johnson products.
And the problem was that when the owners died, the siblings fought over the money. Nobody transformed. And Revlon came in and bought them all out.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Don Snider, the entrepreneur extraordinaire. Don, thank you very much for being a part of Bartell's business.
Well, thank you for having me, Andre. I really enjoyed it.
I really do as well. Thank you.
Are you a Detroit area business owner, operator, professional, or startup with a relevant business story to share? If so, I'm pleased to introduce media brand BARTELL'S Business. BARTELL'S Business is the online interview show and magazine, serving as the authority resource, providing answers to success through powerful information and interviews for startup, operational, and seasoned owners and operators. It is specifically produced and published for ever-aspiring entrepreneurs, CEOs, and high-level managers. The BARTELL'S business belief is that the right knowledge fosters empowerment, business discipline and leadership, and facilitates business dreams and preparedness for the future. BARTELL'S Business provides priceless preparedness, insight, and empowerment through compelling insider interviews and industry conversations. Want to tell your inspiring business story? Contact info@bartellsbusiness.com to ask about being featured today.